pitcher. He was listed at 5'11" and 170 pounds, but even that might have been generous. His delivery looked more like a street performer than a professional athlete. And yet, for a brief blinding moment, Tim Lincecum wasn't just one of the best pitchers in baseball. He was the best. This is the story of the freak, and how he went from an underestimated kid with an unorthodox pitching motion to the pinnacle of an MLB ace. A story that began on June 15, 1984, when Tim was born in Bellevue, Washington. Tim's father, Chris, was a former collegiate pitcher who instilled in his son both a love for the game and the foundations of his unique throwing motion. From an early age, it was clear that Tim had something special. He excelled in multiple sports, but it was baseball where his natural talent and work ethic stood out. He dominated Little League, and by the time he reached Liberty High School, he was already throwing in the mid-90s despite his small stature. Even though he was drafted by the Cubs in the 48th round of the 2003 draft, Lincecum chose to pass and instead attend the University of Washington. There, he honed his craft and became a two-time Pac-10 Pitcher of the Year. In 2006, he even won the Golden Spikes Award, given to the best amateur baseball player in the country after striking out 199 batters in 125.1 innings. Tim was on his way, which is why the Giants intelligently selected him 10th overall in the MLB draft. The Giants made a gamble that his mechanics weren't a liability, but instead a weapon. And boy, was it about to pay off. Lincecum rocketed through the minors. In AAA Fresno, he posted a .29 ERA in 31 innings. He struck out 46 batters and allowed just one earned run, forcing the Giants' hand to get called up to the majors. The team hoped he could stay just as dominant, but after debuting in May of 2007, he showed some early growing pains. He ended his rookie season with a 7-5 record, a 4.0 ERA, and 150 strikeouts in 146.1 innings. 2007 was a good season for Tim. Nothing special, but enough to prove that he belonged. However, nobody on earth could have predicted what he would do in 2008.
That's the record for Lincecum, 252 strikeouts. The year he owns the San Francisco Giants strikeout.
In 2008, Lincecum took the leap from promising young pitcher to full-blown ace. He went 18-5 with a 2.62 ERA and led all of Major League Baseball with 265 strikeouts. He wasn't just dominant. He was dazzling. His fastball sat in the mid to upper 90s, his curveball was a hammer, and his changeup was perhaps his most devastating weapon of all. He won the National League Cy Young Award in just his second season, the first Giant to do so since Mike McCormick in 1967, and the future looked as bright as ever. His encore in 2009 was just as impressive. He went 15-7 with a 2.48 ERA, and once again led the league in strikeouts with 261. He became the first pitcher in MLB history to win the Cy Young in each of his first two full seasons. He was also named the starting pitcher for the National League in the All-Star Game and appeared on the cover of MLB 2K9. Lincecum wasn't just a star, he was a phenomenon. It seemed like there was nothing Tim couldn't do. However, with no postseason appearances to date, Tim needed some playoff success to really prove he was an all-time great.
Here's Tim Lincecum. This postseason is making his sixth appearance, his fifth start. He can control that velocity here early.
By 2010, Lincecum was the face of the Giants. Though he had a rough patch in August, losing 5 straight starts, he rebounded in September and helped lead San Francisco to its first playoff appearance since 2003. In Game 1 of the NLDS against the Atlanta Braves, Lincecum delivered one of the most iconic postseason performances in history. A 2-hit, 14-strikeout complete game shutout for the ages. He followed that with another stellar outing in the NLCS, and then beat the Texas Rangers twice in the World Series, including a clinching performance in Game 5. The Giants were champions, and Tim Lincecum was their undisputed ace. Tim was at the top of the baseball world, and he followed up an epic 2010 with just as solid of a 2011. Tim finished with a 2.74 ERA and 220 strikeouts. His record was just 13-14, thanks in large part to poor run support, but he remained among the league's elite. At this point, Lincecum had 4 straight seasons of at least 200 strikeouts, 4 All-Star appearances, 2 Cy Youngs, and a World Series ring. Those are some Randy Johnson and Nolan Ryan level stats, and he was easily on a Hall of Fame trajectory. But then, the wheels began to come off.
And the payoff is driven to left, and Blanco just happens to be playing there, and he can't come up with it.
In 2012, Lincecum's velocity began to dip, and with it, his effectiveness. His ERA ballooned to a 5.18, the worst among qualifying starters in MLB. He still struck out 190 batters, but he also led the league in losses and wild pitches. Tim was moved to the bullpen for the postseason and responded by dominating in relief, allowing just one earned run in 13 innings, and even though the Giants had won another title, Tim's role had completely shifted. He was no longer the Giants' golden boy. He was no longer on MLB 2K covers, and his career trajectory seemed completely flipped from the previous 2 seasons. Tim knew that 2013 was a crucial year to reprove his value.
Do I throw it again? Do I throw the split? Catchable.
In 2013, Tim threw the first of his 2 career no-hitters, blanking the San Diego Padres and proving through a 148-pitch masterclass that he was still the freak. It was a vintage performance. However, it was also an outlier. His ERA was still a lackluster 4.37, and he continued to struggle with command. He re-signed with the Giants on a 2-year, $35 million deal, but it was more for his legacy than his current performance. The following year, Lincecum threw a second no-hitter again against the Padres. He became one of just 35 pitchers in history to accomplish the feat twice, but once more, the brilliance was fleeting. His ERA for the season was 4.74, and even after another no-hitter to his name, he lost his spot in the rotation. He pitched sparingly in the postseason, even though he did contribute 1.2 scoreless innings in Game 2 of the 2014 World Series, which the Giants won. But by 2015, Lincecum was seriously battling a degenerative hip condition. The injury affected both his mechanics and his velocity. And after posting a 4.13 ERA to start the season, Tim was shut down in June to undergo season-ending surgery. This would be the last time Tim Lincecum pitched for the Giants. In 2016, Tim attempted a comeback with the Los Angeles Angels, but was a shell of his former self. He made just 9 starts and posted a 9.16 ERA. By 2018, after a year away from the game, he signed a minor league deal with the Texas Rangers. However, a blister and lingering arm issues kept him from making it back to the majors. Just like that, Tim Lincecum's career, which once seemed destined for immortality, was over after only 10 seasons. In a 10-year career, Lincecum won 110 and 89 with a 3.74 ERA and 1,736 strikeouts. He threw over 1,400 innings, made 4 All-Star teams, won 2 Cy Youngs, tossed 2 no-hitters, and won 3 World Series championships. At his peak, he was arguably the most electrifying pitcher in baseball, but he also serves as a cautionary tale. The same mechanics that made him special may have also contributed to his downfall. His unorthodox delivery put immense strain on his hips and back. His smaller frame couldn't support the workload he endured in his early years. From 2008 to 2011, he averaged over 220 innings per season and regularly threw more than 110 pitches per outing. The wear and tear added up. Still, Lincecum's legacy endures. He remains one of just 11 pitchers to win back-to-back Cy Young awards. Of those 11, 5 are in the Hall of Fame, 3 are still active and likely bound for Cooperstown, and 1, Roger Clemens, would be enshrined if not for PED allegations. Tim Lincecum and Denny McLain stand as the lone outliers, a fact that only stands to prove what Tim really was. He was a comet, a flash of brilliance that lit up the sky before disappearing into the night. And maybe that's part of what makes his story so special. In 2019, Tim made a rare public appearance at Bruce Bochy's retirement ceremony. It was a reminder of just how beloved he still is in San Francisco. The fans haven't forgotten, and neither should we. Whether or not Tim Lincecum makes it to Cooperstown, he'll always have a place in baseball history. For a brief moment, he was everything we love about the sport. Dominant, electric, and entirely his own. The freak was truly one of a kind. But if you want to see another unique story about one of baseball's other unorthodox pitchers, watch this video on Greg Maddux to see why he was